Hey, it's Jarren. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about my favorites from June. So this is going to be a bit more of a casual video. I wanted to spend some time talking about my favorite things over the past month, and in the future I'd like to do this in addition to the other videos that I'm making. So I'll have 4 videos out in a month, and then at the very end of the month I'll have a 5th video. My monthly favorites come out. That's the goal for the time being. But this month I wanted to cover some things that I found to be really exciting. So I wanted to start off with the iOS 13.5 jailbreak. And this was significant to me because that was the software that was the newest for the iPhone, and I hadn't jailbroken my phone in a while. I thought it was fun. I used to do that a lot when I was younger, but this time around I decided to kind of take a risk. I have an iPhone 10, and I was basically messing around with some tweaks and just having a good time. The tweaks that I've really ended up enjoying are Activator, DocX, Dotto Plus, Facebook No Ads, Floaty Dock, Saw, Small Siri, Snowboard, Tap Flip, and TikTok God. By far my favorite tweak is Saw, which just removes the home bar and then knocks everything down a notch. So it really optimizes the user interface. I feel like I have so much more space to interact with an app and more content to read, etc. I find this to be extremely valuable. The nice thing about a jailbreak is that you can do things that you want, and sometimes I think that's just optimizing something that hasn't been optimized before. When a company designs a user interface, they don't always design for your needs, they design for the masses' needs. So sometimes there are things that I really want that a company just doesn't cater to. I've been really enjoying the jailbreak. I also have been using Dolphin Emulator to play GameCube games and Wii games, which is insane. That is just so crazy that I can run a GameCube or Wii game on my phone now. The iPhone processors are truly incredible. I also actually am running the iOS 14 beta on my iPad, which has been really cool because I can scribble write things into content boxes now. So I'm enjoying that as well. And I could probably see myself updating to iOS 14 on my phone through the beta and dropping the jailbreak. Although the iPhone 10 has a permanent jailbreak available on a hardware level, so maybe I'll have iOS 14 and a jailbreak at some point, or maybe I'll get a new phone. Next up, the other thing I'm enjoying is Gesha Coffee. And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially a very specific strain and group of coffee beans. It's considered very sought after. They're grown in smaller quantities in specific regions, and they are pretty expensive. So I had one bag of coffee that I split with a friend, and it cost us $56. It was frozen in a raw bean state back in 2017. So it was an heirloom geisha from Ethiopia, and it was dry processed in 2016 and 2017, and then frozen so that it could be roasted at a later date. So I bought that recently, and that's from Passenger Coffee. The coffee has a little bit more of a fruity taste because it's dry processed. That also kind of comes into play. Basically, dry processed coffee beans mean that they let the coffee beans sit out with the fruit still on it, and so it typically grabs a lot of that flavor. And there's a whole conversation about whether that's better or not for the flavor of your coffee. I don't know. I just enjoy enjoying things. Next up is a scale I have been following on Amazon for a while that I finally pulled the trigger and purchased. It's a RENPHO scale. It measures body fat by sending electronic pulses through your feet. And it's super, super subtle and not 100% accurate, but it's definitely better than me just standing on the scale and guessing based off of my BMI or something. Over the past couple of months, I've actually been losing some weight, so I'm enjoying that because I can track it, and it's kind of like a little bit of a race to see, hey, can I reach my goal weight? Of course, the other thing I've been enjoying this month is Hasami Porcelain. This is my new coffee cup and tea mug. Currently, I am drinking a ginger turmeric tea, and it's an herbal tea because I already had some coffee, so I'm just trying to take it easy. But man, I love it so much. Of course, if you want to learn more about that, you can just watch that video. Next up is this little guy, which is the Moog Little Phatty. It's a monosynth. I'm borrowing this from a friend. I do not own it. I wish I did, but I don't. The difference being that everything on the computer is a software synthesizer. These are basically hardware sounds, and I honestly don't know if I can tell a large enough difference to make it worthwhile. But the experience, at least, is more enjoyable. Instead of clicking buttons on an interface, I'm moving around knobs, and I've found it to be a little bit more tactile. I think if I were to get something myself, I would maybe invest in a better MIDI keyboard that has a lot more knobs and things that integrate better, just because I like that tactile experience when I'm trying to make music, and this has been really enjoyable, but it's just so limiting. This basically makes a handful of sounds, like 100 sounds, whereas my computer, I can make pretty much any sound I want. It's basically, can I get the experience I get from this, but the sound quality and the sound variety I get from this. Then last up, the other thing I've been enjoying this month is Flow. It's an app by Moleskine, and it runs on the iPads. I've really enjoyed this because for so long I've tried to use either paper or pencil or bounce back and forth between notebooks, run things inside different apps on the iPad, and I just haven't found one that I think has a good enough balance of I can draw and I can write. Because those are kind of two different purposes, and I've been using Procreate to draw, but then I find it very lacking when I'm trying to write. I enjoy the feeling of it, but it doesn't save and store and read well. When I just want to kind of journal mindlessly, Procreate is not good for that, and so I found myself getting stuck behind a workflow there, whereas with Flow, I can just kind of keep scrolling forever, and so it's like an endless piece of paper. So I found it works well right now. I hope it works well in the long run. There are a lot of features I find lacking from it, but I'll probably go into a actual review of this app at some point in time. For now, though, I'm really enjoying it. And then the one last thing is currently there's a Kickstarter called Analog. This is by a company called Ugmonk. They're based in Pennsylvania. I've been talking to the creator of Ugmonk for a couple years now, and I just love the kind of work that he puts out. He has some really high quality clothing products, things like t-shirts and hats, and then some really nicely designed organizational products and things that I just tend to respect a lot. The craft is really cool. So Analog is a sort of planner system that you can basically put on your desk. I would recommend checking that out if you're interested. Back it, because it is very cool. So for the month of June, that's mostly it. I've been looking at a lot of different architecture stylings, and maybe I'll link a couple in the description, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you liked the stuff that I like right now, and if it's interesting to you, just let me know. I'm always around in the comments, I'm around on Twitter. I enjoy communicating with you guys, and I am excited to keep posting more content. I have a lot planned. If you haven't been paying attention, I do have a projects page that's linked on my site. It's linked in the description, and you can actually see a list, a Kanban board of every single one of the projects that I'm working on. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Jarren, and this has been my June favorites. You like that ending?